Installing a Sena to a Protos helmet, version 2.0, a lot more streamlined than my last video. These new Sena units, they've been updated just a little bit. They work the same way as the SMH10s, and they link with the SMH10s, which is great. The best place I've found to mount it is here. And they come stock with these clamp backings on them, and the clamp backings just don't work really well. They wobble around a lot, and then they're also a pain to have to get in there and tighten them later. So we're going to take this clamp off, and we're going to replace it with a sticky. Find this sticky in your kit. It'll be in one of these little baggies. Then take your receiver unit and undo the twist tie and find the cable that goes to the ear muffs. That's the longer cable, and you want to fold it onto the back side before you put the sticky mount on. We're going to then take this, the grooves on the plate are going to go into the wings on the receiver like this. Okay. Make sure you get both of them on there. And also just try to make sure you're not pinching that wire. We're sticking that wire in this corner right here. Then the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to line up these screws into here. Now, the way I used to do this is I made the mistake of sticking this this plate onto the helmet first, and then that makes the rest of this very, very difficult. Now we're going to just assemble to the receiver right away. We're going to put these screws in. We're going to make sure that that longer wire is in between them and in such a way that it's not being pinched. And we're going to tighten these screws down before we put it on the helmet. And this is a much better way of doing this. All right, so before I peel this off, I want to prep the area here. Protos uses these stickers to contrast colors on their helmets. And these stickers can peel off as they get older. So we're going to actually cut a section of this sticker away so that we have a nice surface to stick to. And you want to kind of line this up where you want this before you go through with it, obviously. Find an area where you think you can get a lot of good contact with that sticky surface. Then you're going to trace that area that you've decided on. And we're going to cut that out really gently with an X-Acto knife. Okay. And again, this is just to give the receiver plate a surface to stick to that's not gonna peel away later as the helmet gets older. All right, now we're ready to take our backing off the stick side, and we're gonna press this in. Push that in and just kind of hold it nice and firm for a minute. There are some contours in the helmet which create a little less than ideal surface for contact here, but it will work. Now, to supplement it with a little bit of extra strength, I do use hot glue because I don't want this coming off later, especially in the field. So we are going to put a little bit of hot glue around the sides, just like a nice bead to give it a little bit of residual strength. I can still take this receiver off the back plate later if I want to, as long as I don't make the glue crossover between the two. But I found that I've never had to replace a receiver. It's always the Senas themselves that eventually start to lose their battery, and I end up having to buy new Senas. I've yet to have to replace one of these. I guess if you did cut the wiring on one, you would. So yeah, you probably don't want to accidentally glue this to the back plate while you're doing that. The muffs from the factory have the arrows pointing towards the face, and then the little C indent is pointing back towards the back. So that's how they're going to go back on. I am going to put a little mark before I detach them of where I want my wire to be coming out. I might go a little bit upstream of that, right to there, so that I'm not in the arm there. Once we have kind of mapped out where we want our wires to come out, we will take these muffs out. When getting these ear muffs off, you can look through the groove here and see the little tab of the ear muff. Face it down and then try to pull the bracket out, and it'll come out with ease. Well, I shouldn't say with total ease. It takes a little bit of effort. Okay, next thing is we're gonna push on these little tabs and kind of hook in with our fingers on the inside part of the muff, push on that tab, and it will pop it off like that. Feels like you're gonna break that tab, but it doesn't break. Okay, and then we can take this little C-shaped foam thing out. Then I'm going to cut in to here on my mark. You can either use a drill, or you can use like a reciprocating saw or a chainsaw file, just something to kind of cut a groove into there so that the wire doesn't get pinched. Okay, now you're also going to need to cut it on the other part of the muff where it makes this ring right here, this seal, and that's just so that you don't cut your wire when you put this back together. I found that the oscillating tool is the best for this. It's just a lot quicker than trying to use a chainsaw file. And then I just kind of put a dab of hot glue around it anyway, so it seals it back up, or silicone or whatever. We're gonna click that back together just to kind of dry fit it and make sure that there's a good hole still there. Because if you clip that back in and that hole is not present, then it'll snip your wire like a pair of scissors. And then you'll have to spend a little over $50 to buy another spare parts kit. So nobody wants to do that. Now the new Senas, they did it so that it's kind of cool. They did it so that the speakers can plug in and unplug, whereas the old style, all the speakers and everything were hardwired to the receiver, and it was only the mic that would plug in and out. So they have a Velcro backing, and that Velcro backing is what we're going to want to put inside our muff first. We're going to want to put the fuzzy side sticker onto it. Just anywhere in there is fine. And then we're going to take off this little plastic cover. We're going to put that onto there. Slip our wire into there. And remember to put this on. Remember, it's going back the other way, so that's pointing forward. And this will be pointing backward the opposite way. And then we're going to force it all back together while being careful about our wire. And that nice little snap is what you want to hear. Now I can take my hot glue again and just sort of put a squirt of that around it to just sort of weatherproof, protect it. I'm gonna go ahead and do the mic before I put the earmuff back into the bracket arm over here. I like using these short mics. Put them in the brow of the helmet right there, and it keeps them protected. So the Senas should come with options for, you know, your long mic or your short mic. And if they give you the short mic, then take that. It's better. I'm gonna put the Velcro sticky right there. Unthread our short mic wiring, stick it on. And then this excess wire is nice to go through the harness holes right here. Thread through there. Thread through there. It does work a little better, I think, if you go under this bracket arm with the earmuff wire. These can only plug in one way. Okay, so just double check. There's a little bit of extra there. I really don't like that, actually. Let's tighten that up. There we go. You want this to be so that the muff can stow without rubbing on the wires. All right, that's important. So I'll probably tape these back here. Just put a piece of tape back there. But for now, this is good. Okay, let's do the other side. Now this side is a lot longer. Open that up first. Let me make sure before I do. Make that mark a little more pronounced. All right, now we're gonna open that up the same way as we did the last one. It's really, really stiff when they're new, especially. Golly, it hurts your thumb to do it, but okay. Cut into this. And we're gonna cut into this. Do our dry fit. Making sure that the wire is gonna have space. Pop it back out. Put our little sticky Velcro, sticky little fuzzy Velcro side onto there. Find the other speaker. Okay. Now, something that I need to mention here, you can either bundle up this extra length in here, in which case you're going to make that connection inside and then bundle it up, or you can leave the connection out, but then you have to do something with all this extra. I'm going to leave the connection out because I like being able to disconnect it. The old ones, they were hardwired, so you just stuff all this extra into the muff. But with the new ones being disconnectable, that is a cool feature. So I want to be able to do that still without having to take the muff apart. Lining this up nice and carefully until I hear a snap. A little bit of weatherproofing. that dry for just a second here. Now we need to get our bracket arm. Okay. Then we do our connection here. That's it. We're going to, bundle this up behind here and hold it down with a piece of tape along with these wires. Tape it back here so that we don't have any issues with all that extra wire, but that's installing the Sena. One more thing I'll mention about these Protos helmets in case you don't know already. These forehead pads, they are really bad for coming out very easily and then they get lost. So I take these just little zip ties and I just pick some spots that don't bother me on my forehead. I just install zip ties on these headbands so that I don't lose them, because it's like, it's like an extra $30 something, or it's over $30 to buy another pads kit. They don't just sell these by themselves. For those of you who don't know, also the Protos has these integrated glasses, which are really easy to install. They are like an extra $60, but they're great for meeting the Z89 requirement for having solid eye pro on at all times. They have these little custom molded holes that fit into these circle cutouts of the Protos headband. Let's go ahead and put these in there for this new employee. Okay, so you just pick that little circle slot, push and pop. It'll pop right on in, and then they are adjustable. They can pop out, and they can also turn. They can turn not just at that pivot point there, but they have like they have a flip somewhere in here. There it is, right here. So they're pretty modular, they're pretty adjustable, and they just flip on up, and then, your ground team always has their eye pro. As long as they've got their helmet, there's no problems of like forgetting eye pro back at the shop, which is great. So expensive up front, but worth it when you consider the convenience of how they fit into the helmet and all that. Anyways, that's a Protos helmet with a Sena installation. Hope this has been helpful, and you guys take care.